Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams and I'm joined by Tobs, a Tottenham Hotspur fan, YouTuber and member of Touchline Fracas. Firstly, mate, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on, bro. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, mate. The pleasure is all ours. Hopefully you'll be able to tell us a little bit more about the man in question, which is Dele Alli. Firstly, how do you and the Spurs fan base feel about him leaving?
Um, I'm delighted he's gone. I can't lie to you. I'm delighted he's gone. Not because I hate him, but I was starting to resent seeing him on a pitch for us, because his performances have just been like honestly diabolical, for the past, at least the last 2 years. So he had a bit of a renaissance under Jose Mourinho initially in December 2019, but from January 2020 onwards, like the performances have been awful. Even in games during that season when we were injury hit and he scored, like he's just been so bad. So yeah, from January 2020 till present, he's been pitiful. And I think this move was long overdue for both parties. Long overdue. Long overdue.
So what do you think went wrong for Dele Alli at Tottenham?
A combination of things. I think injuries didn't help. So his first 3 years at the club, they were excellent. Like he was a quality player for Spurs, and nobody can deny that. He was a quality player and easily one of the best young players on the planet. Like he was so good, so potent, so efficient, and just reliable. He was so clutch. But I think with him, after his third season, so his entering his fourth season, injuries started to set in. So he picked up a couple of injuries, a lot of hamstring injuries as well. And he missed quite a bit of that season, and it sort of had a knock-on effect on his numbers and his effectiveness as well. And then the following season, he started it with injury as well. But in all honesty, I'm not just going to put it down to injury. I think he just sort of lost. I want to say like Spurs sort of outgrew the way they played with Dele in the team. And what I mean by that is he thrives at his best when he's basically playing off Harry Kane, when he's allowed to make those runs into the box, and he's like a space invader. Like he knew where to be in the right place. And I think whereas our team sort of had to move away from that because players had left or players were declining, he wasn't able to sort of switch up his game. So case in point, us at our best, we had Danny Rose and Kyle Walker on both flanks. We had Christian Eriksen pulling the strings. We had Dembele bossing the midfield. So Dele's job was simplified. You don't really have to get involved in the build-up. You focus on scoring goals. That's what Pochettino wanted him to do in his best season statistically for Spurs. And then the following season, he didn't start off well, but he really finished strongly, and he had a quality campaign because he started to diversify his game a little bit. He got more assists, he got more involved in the build-up and whatnot. But we still had the key players there. Eriksen was still in his peak. Harry Kane was still in his peak. Dembele was still in his peak. But I think as the team degraded around him, there was a bit more onus on him to actually offer more than just what you're capable of. Okay, cool, you can score goals, but can you actually be a number 10? Can you create chances? Can you be effective in build-up? And all of these things that he struggled with before the team degraded around him, he struggled even more with when they left. So when Eriksen left, he didn't really have anyone to feed him, to create chances. And he wasn't that good enough, or he isn't that good enough that he can sort of fashion his own chances. He's not like Harry Kane or Son in that respect. So honestly, I think we had to evolve our game because the players that benefited the system that he suited the most had left or had declined, and he just wasn't able to adapt. He wasn't able to adapt. He tried a multitude of systems. When Jose even came back in, he played him in his preferred role with number 10 in a 4-2-3-1. And as I said, after the initial boom, he struggled. He really, really struggled. Like, he was just a hindrance to how we built up play. And it was either he was anonymous in games or he would get on the ball and just do dumb stuff with the ball, lose the ball. It just wasn't a good situation at all. It wasn't a good situation.
No problem. Obviously, you've mentioned Pochettino, and like you said, Dele Alli probably had his most success under Pochettino. Did Poch have him playing any differently? And what do you think it was that made him more successful under him compared to the likes of Jose Mourinho, Nuno, and even Conte, who doesn't seem to be a great fan of him?
I think so. I'll go one by one. So I think Pochettino loved him because Dele, he took like a duck to water in the Premier League. He wasn't fazed by the occasion, but he came into our team playing central midfield because that's where he played for MK Dons. But Pochettino quickly realized that we were wasting this guy in central midfield simply because he had a really good eye for goal. And second of all, because he wasn't really a central midfielder, he wasn't able to control games. And our team had a much better balance with Dembele in the midfield than Dele. So I think that's why Pochettino moved him further up the pitch. I think he loved him because Dele had the aggression. He had the mean streak in him. Like he was someone who was dependable at the point in time. And fundamentally, he scored. The guy was able to score goals and be in the right places in the right times. And he complemented our attack very well. He worked well with Eriksen. He worked well with Harry Kane. He worked well with Son Heung-min. So Poch always gave him that arm around his shoulder, even when he wasn't playing that well, and always put his faith in Dele. And I think that's what sort of made him sort of come out of his shell a little bit when he first joined the club to what he became at the height of our sort of quote unquote dominance. So yeah, Poch has always been the supportive guy for Dele and has always sort of catered his team to maximize Dele's strengths. Jose Mourinho, on the other hand, is quite more rigid. Like he's not that methodical. He does not really cater his team to a player like Dele. He just expects Dele to come into this team and just perform. That's where Jose is more old school in that he wants ready-made final piece players to just come into this team, do your job. And Dele wasn't capable of doing that consistently over a season. And then with Nuno tried to play him in a position that was just not good enough for him. Nuno played a 4-3-3 for most of the season, and he tried to play Dele as a number 8. And as I mentioned, Dele as a number 8 is horrible. He's a hindrance to build up. He slows down play. He loses the ball in dumb areas, and he can't carry the ball. The one thing I'll give Dele Alli credit for, though, is he's a really, really hard worker. He doesn't stop running. Like, he's a really, really good worker. And I think if you can play him off someone who is on his wavelength from a technical standpoint, I think he can bounce off a player like that. He's not in with Dele. He's not individualistic. That's the thing. He can't sort of carry the team. Like, he has to have other pieces around for him to thrive. So yeah, I think that's where it went really pear-shaped with Nuno, because Nuno this season, this is probably the lowest amount of quality we've got in our team in terms of technique, and where we were looking for Dele to play in midfield and be that thrust, be that sort of forward-thinking midfielder. He just didn't have the quality to do it because that's not his MO. He's not someone who can pick up the ball from deep and drive like Kovacic. He's not someone who can pick up the ball and split your defense like Cesc Fabregas. He's not someone who can win you the ball back like N'Golo Kante. So he's pretty much redundant in the central midfield role. He has to play in attack. He has to play off the striker. Otherwise, you're not really going to see a good player.
No problem. Obviously, you mentioned Pochettino and sort of the arm round him. There have been rumours and speculations from the media and stuff that there might be slight attitude problem with Dele Alli. Is he one of those that possibly needs? I'm thinking more the time when Jose Mourinho was with him, the media were making a bit about it. Do you think he's one of those who needs a manager who's going to sort of put his arm around him, nurture him, compared to Mourinho?
Yeah, definitely. when we say attitude problems, I don't think he's got attitude problems in the sense where he's a bad egg. And I don't think he's got attitude problems at all. I think he's never really been disrespectful to any of our managers or on the pitch. Well, I say on the pitch or in terms of like him playing football. He's always been professional in that sense. But I think with him, a lot of people accuse him of losing his focus. Once he got his third contract renewal, once the money started coming in, once he's getting deals X, Y, Z here, this is that and there. But a lot of people were saying that he sort of took his focus off the ball. So me personally, I don't really like to bash football players when they get endorsement deals. Like they should be allowed to make as much money as they want, but it should never take away from what they're doing on the football pitch. I don't know whether there is a direct linkage between his sponsorship deals and his decline in form, but me personally, I feel like with Dele, he definitely needs a type of manager to sort of make him feel valued and sort of put his arm around him. And even then, it may not even do the trick. Sorry, I'm not selling him to you at all, am I? But Nuno tried it. Nuno tried to put an arm around him. Nuno tried to make him a centerpiece in his system. But I think where Nuno went wrong is you're putting him in a position that he's never been good at, and he's not just going to become good at. So I think with Dele working with a midfielder who was the king of goal scoring, I can think of no one better to try and help him get back to scoring ways, because he'll know what type of midfielder Dele Alli is. He'll know what things Dele can do on a football pitch to ensure that he is able to start putting himself in those positions to score. And furthermore, he can actually get his confidence back in front of goal, because that's something that's gone as well. Like, he's been so bad in front of goal. He misses so many chances, which wasn't the case before. And it's not to say that he didn't miss chances before, but now he doesn't score at all. Any chance he gets, you don't even put your money on him scoring, which wouldn't have been the case before.
Not a problem. So obviously the deal itself, I just want to know if you're happy with it. The deal's been reported that it's a free transfer. Then after 20 games, Everton are going to pay Spurs 10 million. Then with add-ons and bonuses, it's rumoured that due to performance, it could rise to 35 to 40 million. But that's dependent on performance, so it might never reach that level of money. Are you happy with the deal from a Spurs point of view?
Yeah, I am. Some people say, "Oh, how could Spurs do this, that, and the other? I should have got more." Honestly, I am. I think as Spurs fans, we've been begging for this board to be more ruthless and just take whatever we get with some of these players just for the sake of getting them out of the team. And I think that's what we had to do with Dele. Like, it was imperative that we get him off the wage bill and we get him out of the squad, because he's wasting away. He's 25 years old. He's going to be 26 this year, and he's clearly a net negative on our team. So release him for his good and for our own good, so we can actually bring someone in who can do a better job, and we can let him get on with his career and try and rediscover his form elsewhere. It's not nailed on that he'll be this bad forever. Like, I'd be lying if I said that Dele Alli was. I truly believe that Dele Alli is a shocking championship level player. I think he can. I would hope he can get back to a good level, but I just think for where we wanted to be, he was well below the standard.
No problem. So tell us a little bit. You mentioned obviously briefly about Dele Alli this season. I must admit, I've not seen a lot of him this season. So tell us what he's been like this season in the chances he's had.
Not good, really, but it's interesting. I think the last game he started for Conte, I think that might be his only start for Conte in the league, but was against Liverpool. I think he played well against Liverpool. He missed. Well, I say he missed. It was a great save from Alisson, but he fumbled a few chances that fell in his possession that game. There was one where Eric Dyer picks him out perfectly, and all he's got to do is just slide the ball across to Harry Kane. He fluffed it. There was the other one where Sons found him in the box, and really and truly he should score, but Ederson saves the shot. I think that was probably the highlight of his season so far, but everything else has just not been good enough. As I said, You could say Nuno's playing him out of position, which didn't help. But yeah, like I think that alone isn't enough of an excuse. I think he was just way too wasteful in possession. He was just way too ineffective when he wasn't in possession, and he just didn't really contribute to our build up or contribute to us unlocking teams. It was just it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all, and that's me sugarcoating it.
All right. And so we've mentioned a couple of the cons and stuff. What are his I mean, feel free to mention more, but what are his pros and cons?
It's hard to mention any pros right now because he's been so bad for so long. But truthfully, his pro is he's an excellent worker, man. Like, say what you want to say about him, his distractions off the field, etc., etc. But he is an excellent worker on the pitch. Like, he will not stop running. And I think that's what you want. You want a player who plays in your attack that can still get around the pitch. It allows you to play a forward-thinking game where you can press high up. It allows you to press further up the pitch. It allows you to play an attacker who can disrupt a team's defense just by nitpicking at them. And I think he's a really, really good worker, man. He works his socks off, and that's never been a weak point for Dele in our team. No matter how badly he plays, he always works his socks off. And I think the obvious one is his movement. I think he's still someone who can position himself in good spots on a football pitch when you play him further up the pitch. Like, he's someone who can do that. And even though his finishing has deserted him in recent years, I think he's someone who's always got who has the capacity to score goals. Like, he's scored over 50 Premier League goals. Like, I can't sit here and tell you that he's a terrible finisher. Yes, he's been shocking in front of goal in the last 2-3 years, but the fact that this guy had over 50 Premier League goals by the age of something like 22, 23, it tells you everything you need to know. So if Frank Lampard can find a way to get a system that can accommodate Dele Alli, then maybe he could weigh in with some goals for you as well. Damari Gray has gone to your club and he's rejuvenated his career, and he's a player that I didn't rate at all. I didn't rate him at all, and I thought it was a poor signing for Everton. But he's been a revelation. So I think the good thing for Dele is he's honestly working with a manager who, as I said, was the king of goal scoring from midfield and the king of them runs into the box as well. So if he can try and rejuvenate him, then you might have a decent player back on your hands. If not, then I gotta say it's gonna be another sort of failed mission for Everton. So I hope it's the former, to be honest. I don't really want to see him play this bad, because when you watch some of the videos of what he was doing when he was younger, it's hard to believe that he's fallen off this hard. So I think Frank Lampard will be looking at some of these clips and be thinking, let's try and get this version of you back. It's easier said than done, because I think the squad quality at Everton is not that good enough in terms of chance creation, in terms of build-up. I think it's fair to say that you lot have lost a fair amount of your technicians in the last couple of months, with James Rodriguez, with Luca Dean, and I'm not going to mention the other guy, but yeah, you know what I mean. So the chance creation in your team is not really that high. So it will be interesting to see how he can accommodate Dele in a team that predominantly have played with a couple men behind the ball and not a front-footed approach. So it will be interesting to see how Frank Lampard can do it. But listen, I don't rate Frank Lampard highly, but Everton needed a fresh start. They needed fresh blood, because they've gone the tried and tested route with Ancelotti. They've gone the tried and tested route with Raka. It's not worked. So at this point, yes, your board are a shambles and are aimless, but honestly, a reset is probably what's best for your club right now.
Yeah, we certainly need to go a little bit off what we normally have been going with for the last couple of seasons. Obviously, you mentioned about getting Dele Alli back to even a little bit of his former self. How do you think is the best way for Frank Lampard to go about that? Obviously, you've mentioned Dele Alli's best position is probably a 10. I think Lampard might have to play him there, or do you reckon he could get anything out of him as a centre mid?
Nah, you can't play him centre mid. You'll be killing your team offensively and even defensively. To be honest, you'll be killing your team. He's not good enough. He's a terrible number 8. I think if you're going to play him, you have to play him in the attacking positions. Let him do what he can do best, in and out of possession. If you get him in and around the box, he's got decent link up as well. So if Frank Lampard's playing him, I think it's got to be a 4-2-3-1 for me. He has to make it work in that position, in that tactic. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to get a good Dele Alli.
Okay, no problem. Obviously, there have been some slight comparisons between Dele and obviously now Everton manager Frank Lampard. Do you personally see where people are coming from with those, or do you think it's probably a little bit of an insult to Frank Lampard?
Probably the latter, to be honest. But I can see where they're coming from. I think in terms of goal scoring, yeah, when you looked at the rate in which Ali was scoring in his first 3 seasons, it was a rate higher than Lampard, higher than Gerrard, higher than Scholes. So it's obvious. Goal scoring English midfielder, they're going to talk about Frank Lampard because he's the greatest goal scoring midfielder that England have ever had. That's played in the Premier League, should I say. So it's obvious that they're going to make those comparisons. But when you look at styles, when you look at quality outside of goals, what else can you do? Frank Lampard beats him every day of the week. Passing, consistency, just bossing games, controlling matches, not being a liability in the middle of the park, being able to receive the ball and play with the ball, set pieces, corners, free kicks. Like, it's night and day in terms of quality between the two.
Obviously, you've mentioned a bit about Dele Alli's time at Spurs. So I take it you think now is probably the best time for the player and also Tottenham Hotspur themselves to separate.
Definitely, it should have been done last season. It should have been last season in January. That was the best. That was where it was like. That was where I said, yeah, like I can't do this anymore. Officially done. I'm done with Dele. Like, but I've tried to back you with Jose. I've tried, and whilst I think Jose Mourinho could have played him more, definitely towards the second half of last season before he got sacked. We've been flogging this horse for 3.5 years now. It's just time to let go.
And my final question for you, mate, is do you think this could be a good signing for us? I'm crossing fingers.
Hope it is. I honestly hope it is. I think at the price that you've paid, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's worth the gamble. It's worth the gamble. Like, my only thing with Everton is there's a lack of planning there. I think there's a lack of foresight. There's a lack of a proper squad building, and that's where I would give Everton sort of a negative view on this signing. But in all honesty, he's still young enough to sort of turn his career around. But you don't want Everton to be associated with that team who literally picks up these sort of like washed up players from top 6 clubs that no one really wants and stuff like that. You see it with Iwobi. You see it with I'm trying to remember who else is there as well. But you don't want Everton to maintain that reputation. And Dele going to Everton has not done anything to sort of shed that image. So it'll be interesting. Honestly, me personally, I don't think it's a good signing for Everton. I think Everton needed a more technical midfielder. I know they brought him in there to score goals because I don't really think the goals have been there for you lot this season. But I think Everton needed a midfielder who was goal orientated, but could also offer a lot of technical quality on the ball.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, mate. Do you have any more thoughts on Dele Alli to Everton and deal at all?
I wish him all the best, man. I wish him all the best. It sounds like I don't want him to win, but it's not the case at all. Like, I'm just being honest about his time at Spurs the past 3.5 years, and it's been terrible. Like, I can't sugarcoat it. But in all honesty, I want him to kick on and actually sort of get back to a good level. If Jesse Lingard can do it, then you can do it, man. If Damari Gray can do it, you can do it. Like, 25, he's still got many years left in the game, and he doesn't have to be this poor forever. So that would be my last message to him, to try and rediscover the best version of him.
That's brilliant, mate. And to be fair, I appreciate the honesty. There's no point sugarcoating it. We need to, know what to expect. That is all I've got time for. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and talking to me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No problem, bro. No problem.
No worries. And for the people watching, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below your thoughts on the Dele Alli deal. There will be links to Tobs' YouTube channel and all these other good links in the description down below, so go check that out. And most importantly, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.